Hey, home inspectors, let me run this scenario by you. Tell me what you think. So I got a call yesterday from a local real estate brokerage asking me if I wanted to be a part of their yearly special catalog. I was told, yeah, the ad placement is going to take a little bit of money. It's going to cost a little bit of money to be put into their catalog. But once I'm put in there, they're going to write an editorial or an article or let me write it. So anybody that gets this catalog will be able to read it and go through, and I'll basically be a preferred vendor without actually being a preferred vendor. We would be an inspection company that they would recommend to their clients, but not necessarily one that they already use. So this brokerage firm has 87 agents in it. So those are possibly 87 people out there selling homes right now. A lot of them probably aren't super active. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But this is an agency that's known for selling the top shelf type houses. And he showed me the magazine from last year. It was like a 60, 70 page magazine. I mean, it was top quality. The print and the pictures, everything in it looked beautiful. It was a great magazine. They said they were going to do a first run of 1,000 prints. So 1,000 prints of this magazine. They would give it to potential buyers, potential sellers. There's also going to be a digital copy online. The digital copy was basically a PDF file of the magazine that somebody would click on and then opens a PDF file and they could scroll through it. There was a bunch of information in there about buying houses, selling houses. This was basically a magazine that they would give to the home buyer or the home seller to say, these are the preferred vendors that we work with. These are people that we have vetted and we want to work with these people. These are who you should use. You know, this is a brokerage firm. This isn't the Daily Press. This isn't a local newspaper. This is an actual brokerage company putting together a magazine for their clients specifically. So we got to looking at the magazine and it was cut down into blocks. And I don't know if you've ever bought magazine placements before or worked with that or maybe made your own magazine. I've delved into it a little bit. But you break them down into quarter pages. So a quarter page for them was $2,500 a year. That's in print, that's digital print. And supposedly I get an opportunity once a month to come in and train their agents, which gives me an opportunity to pick up another agent to refer me. But we all know that most of the referrals for home inspections come from an agent. So I need to talk to that agent. The magazine or the digital publication isn't going to help me get any business. So we've got 60 pages of a magazine, all having to do with houses. Potential buyers of the home, potential sellers of a home are going to get a copy of this digital, are going to get potential buyers and sellers, potential clients of them. Their potential clients are going to get a copy of this. Get your fucking tail out of here. So for $2,500, we get a quarter page ad and maybe an article on the next opposing page that I get to help write. At least that's how I understood it. So out of a 60-page magazine, there was roughly 10 pages of that were ads. It was $2,500 for a quarter page, $3,500 for a half page, and $4,500 for a full page. So if you were going with the cheapest rate, $2,500 for a quarter page, there's going to be 3 more advertisements on the same page. I'm just going to get the top quarter, and they're going to have 3 more advertisements. So that's $2,500 times 4. You're looking at $10,000 a page. They're going to make $10,000 a page on this magazine. Let's just say they have 2 full pages of advertisements, and those are the only ads included in this magazine. You have 2 vendors paying them for those 2 pages. That's a $9,000 bill that they're going to make just for making this magazine. And it's 1,000 copies. How much do you pay for a magazine? So this all comes back to the pay-for-play crap that none of us like to talk about, because as a home inspector, we're all taught that that's unethical. If you've been to Internachi, ASHI, went through any of their training and actually abide by their ethics, you can't pay to play. You can't take money or give money to a brokerage firm for your clients. But that's not technically what they were doing. They were taking your money in order to buy an advertisement in their magazine, and they would refer you to clients. But let's say they have 87 agents in their brokerage firm already. 87 fully trained agents right now, after all this big swing in the interest rates and everything, they're going to be pretty solid agents, and they're going to have good inspectors. This is a big top company. These agents probably already have somebody they recommend. And when it comes down to it, the client is the one responsible for paying. So the client is the one that chooses the inspector. We would just be a recommendation to the client from the brokerage firm. We would be in their magazine. We would be on their website. I could be in front of their agents once a month, potentially. Now we know these meetings get canceled, and it's usually not the top producers. I don't mean any harm on this, but it's usually not the top producers at these meetings. It's usually the ones that need some more training to understand things better. The ones that are top producers, they're spending their money in Cabo or they're out selling homes. They're usually not at these meetings, so I'm not even getting the whales. Those are the agents that they're putting me in front of. They're not putting me in front of their top agents. So can you guys just help me with the math a little bit here? Let's say they have 2 full pages of advertisements, $2,500 a piece, for $2,500 for 25% of that page. That's $10,000 a page. That's $20,000 a full page. $20,000 just for a full page of 8 ads. And they're only doing 1,000 initial copies of this magazine. If you're a home inspector, have you ever been faced with a situation like this where you've been asked to put money into something to potentially be on a preferred list? I know some inspectors are perfectly comfortable. They just mark it up as advertising costs. It's a marketing cost. Yeah, you're going into a magazine, so you could just say that it's advertising, so it doesn't look like it's pay to play. But that's really what it is. You're paying $2,500 for a quarter-page magazine ad and access to their agents to help train them once a month. I used to sell firearm parts and accessories down here in Arizona, and I talked to companies about doing magazine ads. And it's rather expensive for what it does, but that's how they get it paid for. You're paying for the publicist, you're paying for the people putting everything together, you're paying for the printing material. So I get that it costs money. $20,000 for a full page. So when they were pitching this idea to me, it just got the ball rolling. Like, how did they qualify me? How did they just pick my name out of a hat and call me up and ask me if I wanted to be part of their magazine? They saw my YouTube page. They think I would be a good fit. Now, if you guys know who I work for BPG Inspections, Buyers Protection Group. I told him that I was with BPG Inspections, and he was like, okay, that's great. And I go, do you know who BPG Inspections is owned by? And he didn't. And I said, well, it's Fidelity Investments. We're a huge company, so we've got great insurance, we've got great warranties, guarantees. I provide free termite inspections. I do sewer camera inspections on top of that for $195. I'm bringing incredible value per dollar to your clients and your agents. My goal is to provide an inspection report to my client and their agent within 12 hours of the inspection, 24 at the very most. So I talked to my manager about it yesterday, and he's 100% against pay to play. If you want to play ball with this company, if you want to get in the door and at least talk to their agents, you have to pay. And this is a way of getting around the whole pay to play thing. You're not paying to get access to their clients. You're not paying for recommendations. You're paying for a magazine placement. $2,500 per quarter page sounds ridiculous until you consider what comes with it. The magazine ad is just a cover for the whole pay-to-play thing. And don't get me wrong, I would love to work with this brokerage firm. I could go there within 5 minutes and do a training and come back home within the same hour. That's amazing to me. That's a big deal in the Phoenix area because I'm driving all the time. I would love to have an office that I could go to once a month and train agents, give them some experience, also get to know them so I can help them. I really provide a lot of value for their clients. But they don't know that. If you haven't used BPG Inspections before, you don't. What's up, Clark? Now we all know the interest rates have been killing the real estate market in the last couple months. And it's really slowed all of us down. So we've lost some agents, we've lost some home inspectors. The market's slowing down and it can't afford to put the food on the table for everybody anymore. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to get into the door of this real estate agency so I could get a few of their clients. But I work for BPG Inspections and I don't control the marketing budget. And in order for that to make sense to BPG, they need to know that there's a return on investment, ROI. What would the ROI be on that? $2,500 page ad for 1 year placement. Let's say a full inspection, ancillary service averages out to $500 a house. I'm inspecting 5 houses just to pay for that ad. With the time on site and the time at home doing the report, every inspection is between 4 and 5 hours on average. It's 25 hours of work, plus all of my money that I made in that 25 hours of work would go towards this ad placement, just for an opportunity to take more time out of my day to try and train agents that potentially use me, potentially don't. Now, this is a long-standing brokerage firm. They've been around for a long time, and I'm guessing their agents are rather experienced. Those agents that have been around for a long time, they already have their inspector that they use. Just because I'm recommended by their brokerage firm doesn't mean that any of their agents have to use me or recommend me. And it's not even up to the agents. It's up to the home buyer because they're paying the bill. So could you imagine spending $2,500 for a quarter-page ad in a magazine with no guarantee that you'll get any traction out of it? I understand it's marketing. I understand sometimes you have to take a risk. But this sounds like a stupid risk. Let's look at it from the client's point of view. You're given a magazine from this brokerage firm, and you're flipping through it. Oh, here's a home inspector, BPG inspections. Read the article. Yeah, they look great. I would love to use them. You go to your real estate agent and you go, have you used these guys before? And all 87 of those agents right away are going to say no, because we're not in their brokerage firm yet. They're going to ask that agent, do you recommend them? That agent is going to go, well, my company recommends them, but I use this guy over here. I've known him for the last 10 years, and he's who I trust. I would use him. Because most agents have their favorite inspector. They know who they want to use. The reports look the same every time. They know who they're talking to. They know what to expect. That's why real estate agents stick with the same inspector. They find somebody they're going to like, they know they're going to like, and they build on that relationship. You're just shooting yourself in the foot if you keep jumping from inspector to inspector to inspector. As much as we would all love for it to be 100% up to the client to find a home inspector, nobody's thinking about that when you're buying a house. You drive around every weekend for a month with your real estate agent, you finally find a house, and then boom, you put an offer in, it's accepted, inspection period starts, 10-day inspection period starts. Oh yeah, we don't know any home inspectors. Most home buyers or home sellers don't know any home inspectors by name or by company. Most of them don't. So from that client's point of view, when you're talking about what qualifications does this person have to be recommended by this major brokerage company? Well, when I showed up for the meeting today, they basically already knew that I was going to be a good fit without talking to me. How do you know that? They didn't even know that I worked for BPG. And if you really care about your client getting the best inspection possible, wouldn't you spend a little bit more time qualifying that inspector before you put him in a magazine? Or better yet, you don't charge an inspector $2,500 for an ad in a magazine. You put him in there for free, but you spend some time getting to know that inspector, get some experience with them. You know, these 87 agents that are already in this brokerage firm, how come the inspection companies or the inspectors that are working with them already aren't buying this? So out of the 87 agents that already work there and already sell houses, buy houses, they work with inspectors, why would any of them use me? You know, that comes with time, and that comes with going into an agency once a month, training them, teaching them the things that they need to do to be really successful in their job when it comes to inspecting. That's why we're there. And who reads magazines anymore anyway? Now, like many inspectors out there, I have several agents in the area that recommend me all the time. I'm their number one. What makes me their number one? Consistency. I would say at the top, it's consistency. You're there on time. You provide the same style of report. You know, the home inspection shouldn't be another step. It should be an experience for the client. It should really be an experience, not just to learn about the house, but to learn about how their client is going to live in that house and the things that they can do to make living there easier. There's so many things to do with inspecting that doesn't have to do with the building material. It really is. So if you're an inspector and you've been faced with a situation like this, what did you do? What would you do? As a client or a future home buyer, how would you feel if you knew the inspector that they recommended to you is only recommended to you because they paid a $2,500 ad placement in a magazine for them? Of course, you would never know that because you're not a home inspector, you're not the brokerage firm. You look at that ad placement and you go, oh, wow, this is a great catalog. It looks amazing. This must be a great company because they're in this great catalog. So me just having a one advertisement placement probably on page 50, how much traction am I really going to get from that, from the clientele? Most of my traction is going to be from the agents that I can teach or the agents that I can work with. Or if you're an agent that works for this brokerage firm and you had your own inspector, but you handed out a magazine to your client and it had a different inspector in there, and that's who your brokerage preferred, but the person that you want to use isn't even in the magazine because they knew that that $2,500 for an ad placement didn't mean anything. How are you going to explain that to them? So just to be a preferred home inspector in this brokerage firm, they were going to give two of us opportunities, two home inspectors. So what are you going to do? Put us next to each other? So Home Inspector Dan, BPG Inspections, and then Home Inspector Bob? That's going to look great. So what does it cost me to get into it? $2,500, write an article for a magazine, not really getting paid for it at all, which is fine. You get a little bit of marketing, but this is an internal magazine. This is a company magazine. This isn't even Cosmo. This isn't Rolling Stone. This isn't People. They're doing 1,000 copies. That's it. I don't know, part of it makes me wonder if they're just trying to get people to pay for their magazine. I don't know how to read through some of the bullshit anymore. Is that what it is? Because I would love to work with this firm. I would love to go in and spend some time with the agents and get them to realize how much value I can bring to their clients. And to them, I make them look good. And vice versa, I want them to make me look good too. And that comes down to social media and videos and getting your name out there. You know, one of the best things you can do is do a collaboration on YouTube or a collaboration on Instagram, Facebook with an agent, an inspector and an agent side by side doing a video together. That way the inspector gets his information sent to all the agent's followers and the agent gets her information sent to all the inspector's followers. So you do a collab so you get more traction and more airtime. I'm okay with dedicating my time once a month to go in and training agents for an opportunity for them to recommend me to their clients. And that's no promise. It's a possible recommendation. I might get some business out of it. I don't know how much. But one thing we can provide as a multi-inspector firm, BPG Inspections has 4 inspectors down here in Phoenix. So say I got more knee problems next month and I need 2 more weeks out. Those agents that use me already, they know that they can just call up BPG, schedule somebody. They're going to have the same report format, the same style of inspector. It's not going to be perfectly the same, but we're pretty close to the same. It's not going to be a complete other company that you're not used to using. There just seems to be too much of this everybody wants my money shit lately.